As most of you know, my last name is Garcia, but what you don't know is where it comes from. My father's side of the family were all born and raised in the beautiful island of Cuba. The music, beaches, old cars, striking architecture, and revolutionary history all combined to make the perfect cultural destination with warm hospitality and a lively atmosphere. My father had very many relatives that lived in Cuba, but there was one in particular. To the left is my father's uncle, Jorge Garcia Tuñón. To understand the importance of the role my great-uncle Jorge had in the Cuban government, you must understand some of the country's history. During Prohibition in the USA, many of the American crime lords started looking for other countries where they were free to gamble and drink alcohol. Cuba became a natural choice by many big-name mafia lords like Al Capone and Meyer Lansky. They spent millions of dollars to build large casinos on the shores of Havana, the capital of Cuba. Along with the casinos came drugs, alcohol, and prostitution. Cuban government infatuated with the fast lifestyle and easy money. Many took bribes to look the other way, and the government became corrupt. Uncle Jorge and his friends in the Cuban government became concerned regarding the large separation of the rich and poor. Decided to use their strength in numbers, military training, and foreign allies to try and replace the president with one that was more honest and return a true democracy to Cuba. This is when him and his brothers started their own military academy called Academia Militar del Caribe. He planned private meetings, poolside parties, and large social gatherings to help promote his good friend Fulgencio Batista. Their planning was a success. On the next government election, Batista was voted into power. It had only been a few months for Jorge and his friends to realize that Batista was just as corrupt as the previous president, Carlos Prio. The Garcia Tuñón family were encouraged to leave Cuba for an extended family vacation. Jorge spent the rest of his life in Miami and died in 2003. He was well known, well liked, and trusted. The element of trust was hard to find in the government of Cuba. My father stated, "He was always looking out for everyone's best interest. It seemed like he knew everyone. Everywhere we went, people would greet him and hug him. He was a very powerful man. He remained very active in monitoring the Cuban government his entire life."